I finished off two 12 by 12 paper collections and made some recipe journals. And so I just wanted to share those with you all today. Hey guys, it's Beth. Welcome. So at the end of August, I shared with you some recipe folio albums that I made for myself and my sisters to preserve recipes from our mom and our grandma. And so in making these, I had used the two 6x6 pads that I shared with you in the Smash Those Small Pads video, but I had also pulled out two 12 by 12 collections because I needed larger sheets to make the covers, and then also I kind of filled in with some pages from those 12 by 12 ones as well. So once I finished off those albums, you know, it had used up the 6x6, but then I kind of wanted to just go ahead and keep with the recipe theme and use up these two 12 by 12 pads. So I did. This first one is Delish from Paper House. I got it from Hobby Lobby. This one is Farmer's Market Recollections, came from Michael's. And I made some recipe journals. I enjoy making journals. I wouldn't say mine are the true like junk style journals. They're kind of, they have a lot of the same elements, but they're a little bit cleaner. I know everybody's got a different style. Mine is just more of kind of like the clean style. But I do still like to add a lot of layers and elements. It's just not as collagey as some people. I like to laminate my journal covers. So I took a sheet of paper from the Farmer's Market pad and just trimmed it down so it fit in a normal, what are they, like 9 by 11 lamination pouch. And then ran it through my laminator. But first I had gone in and added this yellow strip and the cut apart, and then laminated it. And then to bind it, I do have some wax thread here that I use to do kind of like that. I don't remember the name of that binding style, but there's just 3 holes and you kind of go in and out, go through the center of the book. And then to keep it closed, I use some yellow seam binding that I had. I usually like to use, I prefer to use kind of like that elastic seam binding. It looks like seam bindings, but it's elastic just because it allows the journal to grow. So I tried to leave some room here when I tied it off so that the journal can expand, and you know, this will allow room to expand. Worst case, this can be untied over here and retied if more room needs to be added. So I didn't add any paper on the inside. Like I just did the single sheet for the cover because it's fairly, the Recollections paper was fairly stiff. And so once I laminated it, I didn't think I needed to add anything else. I did try and keep some pages not decorated. I thought this was a fun pattern. And I also wanted to just leave them some free space that they could do whatever with. I tried to add tuck spots. I had a bunch of like 3 to 4 inch by 12 inch strips left after trimming down all of my pages. So the journal itself is about 5.5 by 9 or 8 3/4, I guess. And so I had to trim the pages down and ended up with all these strips. And so normally what I do with the scraps I have left, I go in and I, you know, decorate the journals. But I had a lot of, they were big pieces, but they were just all horizontal based, and they were like, you know, these long strips. So I challenged myself to come up with some pocket ideas just using the strips. So I went to Pinterest and just kind of pulled up like journal pockets or journal elements and kind of searched through. And if I saw a pocket design or a page design that I could just use strips with, like somehow work it out of the strips that I had, then I didn't watch any tutorials. I just kind of looked at the picture and said, okay, I think I can do something like that, you know, to look similar to that with the strips that I have. So this is 3 separate pieces. and none of them go down very far. So this top piece goes down like just past this little gingham strip here, and then this piece doesn't even go all the way down. Like it only goes halfway down into the strip here. So by gluing them all directly onto the page, you would never know, you don't see the back side, you would never know that they don't, like that this top piece doesn't go all the way down, and then I glued these two other pieces to it. So they're all, if they weren't glued to the page, they would probably not be staying together very well, because I tried to make it as tall as I could without losing something to glue to the other pieces. I don't know if that makes any sense, but so it's a triple pocket. I have a recipe card. It was just a cut apart. In the top pocket, just another little journal cut apart, and then this little cut apart down here just to show that there are 3 pockets. I have an old book that I picked up at thrifting, and it's like something about German food and eating well, but it's like from the 60s or 70s. It's really weird. I haven't sat down to really read it to know exactly what it's about, but I bought it because it was about Germany and I liked the food pictures, thought I could use them for something, and perfect for this. So here, this was just a scrap, and I created a little side pocket. These were some recipe cards I had stamped and colored a long time ago. Glad to finally have a use for them. This is a pocket, and it just has, I had a random sheet in my stash of recipe card cut apart, so cut out those. This is a little double pocket I made using 2 small scraps that I had. And so I tucked a recipe card behind that bigger one, and then I took one of the few vertical strips I had that was actually like wide and cut it into a tag, used some more of that yellow seam binding, and then I have another corner scrap here that acts as a tuck spot as well. So there's a tuck spot going into a tuck spot. This is another pocket design I made just with the thin scrap or smaller scrap I had. I was able to fold it in to the center and then kind of pulled back the corners and then added in like one of these little list journal cards. Decorated up the bottom here, and then I glued it down only part way so that it could also be a tuck spot. I had some drawing paper that's kind of like vellum that I added. This was just from that photo play collection. Have some flaps here. This was a border sticker from, the Paper House collection, not the photo play, Paper House collection. And then I was going to trim it off, but then decided to go ahead and fold it over and let it add a little bit something to this page as well. And this was a jar that I fussy cut out of a scrap and then stamped on it. Graph paper, another just flat pocket that I made. Used some of one of the puffy stickers from the Paper House collection. Again, took the strips that I had and kind of glued them together barely and made another double pocket. So you got a pocket here and then a pocket behind there. Another flap. Brought in a doily. This was just a journal cut apart and just glued it halfway, or kind of like the bottom third there, to create a tuck spot. And the recipe cards I'm using, I think this one I got from a pack of cards from thrifting somewhere. There were some that were cut aparts, either in the current collections or from the 6x6 pads that I had used earlier. And then there were some random ones that I had made a long time ago and hadn't used yet. Just a little belly band. Another little tuck spot with a cut apart. Made a pocket, a side pocket, by folding the paper over. So this is what I end up doing with a lot of the strip scraps that I have like normally. And this is what I was trying to avoid doing because I really wanted a lot of tuck spots for recipe cards, because that's the point of a recipe journal, is you want to be able to put in your recipes and then, make notes or journal about them. But a couple places I did come in and add some paper directly to a blank page. So, and this one actually has like some yellow dots on it. So I just try not to cover the whole page, but I just added this little torn piece up here at the top and kind of started a little collage element with a label. I think I said earlier, like I don't do a lot of collaging in my journals. This is about the extent of it. Just have another cut apart text spot here. So this one has a flap, again, trying to use up some of those strips, and a little corner tuck spot. So this was a scrap that was left over after I had created some of those other pockets. So this is the center of my journal, and like I said, I kind of like that cleaner look, so I like to hide my strings. And so once I tied everything off after my binding was done, I just glued up the two sides here and punched the notch, and now it's just another pocket for more recipes. This is a double pocket I made from some of those strips. I took a doily and made a tuck spot, just punched a circle out of one of the scraps I had, glued the doily like down for the bottom half, and then just tucked that in out of the label. This one I just loved, the bowl of cherries. Thought it was cute as it is. Here is another scrap. And so I just glued the top part down, so it's still a tuck spot. It's not necessarily going to hold something in place, but you can, like if you wanted to glue something down or slide something underneath it. I just left the chickens and the cute yellow polka dots alone here. Another side tuck spot. Flat pocket. There's the other half of the doily. So this was just another little scrap piece I had left over after making some of those bigger pockets. So just created a corner tuck spot, and actually this is left over from making this big pocket. So each journal has kind of like a full page pocket. So the strips here are probably about 8 inches. And again, they're just really glued to each other right here and then glued to the page down the sides and along the bottom. But there's a front pocket here, and then there's a back pocket that comes in between this top strip and the page itself. And so you could stick several recipes in there. Just another little layered strip there. Another cut apart tuck spot. This is another one of those tags I made that also has the little pocket right there. This one is fun. Like I said, I looked at Pinterest and looked at the pockets that people made and figured out, can I do that with scraps I have? So this one, I just took my 3 by 12 inch strip, cut it down to 4-inch pieces. One I left as is, just punched the notch. And so that's kind of the top pocket there. And then the other two I just folded in opposite corners. And that allows me to just have kind of like angled pockets, kind of just something different than all of my straight in and out pockets. This time I just took the doily, glued it down all the way to the page. Another tuck spot. And I had so many strips, it seemed. And this is a tuck spot as well. I need to tuck a journal card, a recipe card behind there as well. So that is my journal. This one is pretty much exactly the same, except for things might be in different places. 2 reasons. 1, there were a couple patterns that I only had 1 page left of, and 2, when I was cutting down the paper, I didn't always pay attention to the fact that I was cutting the same pattern the same way both times. And so sometimes, like a pattern has a fold over in one book, but I cut it shorter for the other journal. And so it's, that kind of made the pages a little different, kind of made me put things in different places in each journal, but they are pretty much the same number of pages, the same pocket, same elements, things like that. So between making these 2 journals and the 4 recipe folio albums, I was able to pretty much use up these collections. Of the paper house, I have a few small scraps left that I can just use with cards. They're not food related at all. This big sticker sheet, all I have left are the alpha stickers. I can cut that down, throw that in my letter sticker stash, and then there were some puffy stickers in here, and I used Savor and Sweet, the two that were like food related. The rest of these I feel like could be used for anything. So that's that collection. Of the Farmer's Market pad, I have 2 full sheets left, and they are the seed packet images. These I'm going to save. I would like to do a garden journal at some point because I have a lot of like gardening ephemera and stickers, and I would love to do a garden journal. So I figure I'll save these for that. If not, I'm sure I can come up with something else to do with the those seed packets. And there's some other strips in here too that I have, or not here, but that I have left over from this pad that are the non-food specific patterns. So like the polka dots or the gingham, and I figured I can use some of those in cards. So when I was trying to use up scraps, I was really trying to use up like the food related ones because those are harder to use in cards. So I did not do a tutorial or process on these because I did the bulk of them while camping. So it was my camper crafting project. But I have one collection left that is food related. And while I'm in the recipe book mode between the albums and the journals, I want to go ahead and make another journal with this collection. And so I will do this as a process. It will not be a full tutorial. I am not comfortable enough with my journal skills to call it a tutorial, but I will show you my process on how I do it. And then you guys can critique me if you want. But if there's anything else you can think of that would be good to add to the recipe journals, let me know. I really just wanted to make sure there was plenty of space to take notes and tuck lots of different recipes. But if there's something I missed that you think might be good for these, let me know that. And stay tuned for the process on my next recipe journal. I plan to sell these at craft shows, so that's why I have 2 and then want to have one more. I thought these might make great, Christmas gifts when we do our fall and winter craft shows. They might be good gift options, for people shopping for Christmas gifts. So thank you guys so very much for your time today, and I hope you all have a very crafty day.